Okay, so when we talk about outlier, is some values that is not normally belong in that group. For example, if I have a bunch of number that listed 3, 4, 8, 10, 2, 5, if these are the number that listed and then all of a sudden you have something like 30, it's way different than the rest of the values. Like either it's toward the very high or very low end. So those are the things that, so 30 will be the outlier because it's far removed from the other entries. What that means is it's either really low or really high compared to the group of numbers that given to you. So sometimes we talk about the SAT. We have some student that's really like we have an average, right? We have all of us around an average, we around that score, and then we have few students either really low or really high toward that SAT values. Okay, so outlier is the values that is kind of unusual. It's not normal. When we look at the list, it will stand out. You can see it clearly, like, oh, okay, that number is really big. It's way off. Okay, so the outliers can cause some, it may have some impact toward your mean, median, or mode, depend on the value. So if we have a bunch of, the outlier most likely will affect the average or the mean. Okay, because if you have a bunch, all of us have this score, we look at our score, we have these score, and then we have a two students have like way high, that will bring our average up. It will be higher. Or if we think about this, if we have we have our score, our values, and then we have one or two students that the score is really extremely low, that outlier also bring our GPA or our grade lower. The same thing if you look at your score in power school, right? You have everything you're doing well, and then the summative you have a 0. That bring it down. It's changed the means of your score, the average. Okay, so the outlier does have some impact. With it does impact. It will impact the average. However, when we look at the mean and medians, it may not change the median because the median is just a middle number. It doesn't matter how high or how low the value is. It's not going to change. We talk about the position. So it does not really impact the median, right? The same with the mode. It will not, because the outlier is the unusual values. It's just by itself. So it's not going to impact the mode. So it's only impact the mean, okay? Right, so that is the outlier, and we're gonna have some practice next week where I will assign Khan Academy where you look at outlier and how's that impact the mean and medians, and you're gonna tell me how's that impact. All right. So the one that we're gonna talk about today, again, same thing. We look at this one. Is say ages in class. If we look in here, if you look at this data. You don't have to copy the whole thing, but kind of jot down some information somewhere or go back and check this one. If we look at the entry, right? We have 20, a bunch of 20, we have 21, and then we have 22, 23, and all of a sudden we have this values right here, which is 65. So we have a bunch of people, it's the age of 20, right? 20 to 21, and then you have this person, the student, 65 years old in the class. So that is the outlier. That is what we mean by the outlier. We have some unusual data. It's completely far away from the average, from the group that we have. Okay. So that the age is 65, the same thing if we talk about this class right now, right? If we look at all the ages, you guys about 17, 18, around that, and then Miss Wynn is way higher than that, okay? So I'm the outlier if we just talk about age for this class, right? So we talk about the mean. If the mean is mean, I'm adding, so just to review you look at this one. If we review how to find the mean, we find the sum of all the values and divide by how many students we have. We have 20 students. So on average, okay, the mean is on average is 23.8 years old. So in average, most of the students will be in this age. The median in this case is an even entry. There's 20. So we end up with two numbers in the middle. And when you divide by 2 to find the median, The mode is 20 years old. So kind of quickly review what we learned yesterday. The mode is the one that's happened more frequently. But let's say if I'm going to remove the outlier, if I'm going to remove the 65, it will impact the mean because now it's no longer 23. It's probably much smaller. It will be smaller. Okay, so that's what those are the questions that you will run into when we do Khan Academy next week about the outlier and how does that impact our values. Okay, mean, median, and mode. Any question on those three things? All right, we're gonna move forward. We're gonna skip this one. The one that we're gonna talk about today is weighted mean and mean of group data. So before we do that, if you want to jot this down somewhere on a piece of paper or record it or go back, make sure that you somehow, okay, today or later on you have to know the notations because I will not tell you what the letter stand for. Okay. All right. So the weighted means, again, we talk about this X with the bar on the top. This is a sample mean. It's not the population, it's a sample. Okay. X with the bar. This notation, this is the population, which is mu. Look like the U. Okay, so that's the difference. So the thing is, when you take, when we look at Khan Academy or practice, you have to know which one that I'm talking about. So make sure that you have that number. Okay, let's review. This summation notation means, what is this notation means? Who remember? Can someone tell me the summation? What does that mean? Anyone? Don't be shy. You can unmute and tell me. I'll put it in the chat. Sean, you said something? Okay. Okay. So this summation means what? Anyone remember? You can go back to your notes, or if you don't remember, just put in the chat, like, I don't remember. So I know that I should share this with you, or put in the chat if you want to say it out loud. Should I call on someone? Let's see. Joseph, do you remember what this summation means? You still here? Let's see if anyone put in the pear duct. Okay. All right, so I have a student put in the paradox, which is summation means the total. Okay, that is the total of all the values. And here, the X is the entry, the data that given to you. The one thing is different is the W. The W is not, we not talk about it last time, it stands for weighted. Okay, it stands for weighted mean. So we'll talk more about what that weighted means in a minute. It's something that we do all the time, especially when it comes to calculate your grade. So these are the things I think it's important for us to go over, and then you can go back and know how your grade being calculated. Okay, so the W stands for weighted mean, and we'll see what that means right now. Okay. So let's look at this example. Make sure you jot it down. You are taking a class which your grade is determined from 5 score. 50% is your test mean, 15% is your midterm, 20% is from your final. 10 is from your computer lab work, 5% from your homework, and the following are your score. Your test mean is 86, 96 is your midterm, 82 is your final exam, 98 is a computer lab, and 100 is homework. Those are your score. And the question was asking, what is the weighted means of your score? And then if the minimum average A is 90, did you get an A? So these are the things that we always make prediction. If you in advisory, and we normally was like, let's look at your grade, let's predict what you may have for this quarter. The same thing when you go to college. This is like how college look like. They will just average out. They don't have a lot of grades like what you do have right now. They have a few. They have just exam and some column of something, just a few grades for you, and they calculate toward the end. So you can make a prediction. You say, okay, I should get this score for my final exam in order for me to get an A, a B. Okay, can you take a screenshot of this problem or jot it down? Because I'm going to move to the next screen with a table so that we can do this. Okay, so have it down somewhere so that we can go back. So I'll give you a couple seconds. If you have a phone, take a picture of it. Or if you don't have a phone, jot it down. 50% test mean, 15% from your midterm, 20% your final exam. So you can just jot down those information. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. We have this table. We're going to calculate. It's asking how do we compute the weighted mean. So the question was asking to calculate the weighted means. Okay. Before we do that, you have the score. They will tell you the test. They gave you from the last question. The test means is 86. Midterm is 96. Final exam is 82. Home computer lab is 98, and I think homework is 100. Okay, so that is your score. The weighted is the percentage that we talked about. So the same thing I keep telling you, 40% is quarter one, 40% is quarter two, and 20% is your final exam. That is how your semester grade is calculated, right? So that's the weighted means that we talked about. The test means the weighted is, I believe, is 50%. 50%, I'm going to change it. When I do this, I'm going to change it decimal. So 2 decimal place, so that would be 0.50 or 0.5. For the midterm, they told you is 15% is your midterm, so 15%. I'm going to change the decimal, which is 1.5. 20% from your final exam, just in case like where these number is from the last slide that I asked you to jot it down. 20% and then 10% is from your computer lab, so 0.10. And they tell you, what is that? 5% from your homework. So for the 5%, be careful. 5% is not 0.5, it's 0.05. So these are the problems that I students run into when they do this kind of assignments. Is that when you switch to decimal, you make that mistake. So to compute the weighted mean, this is what you need to do. I'm giving you the step. It says X times the W. So X is your score. The W is the weighted. So you would take 86 times 0.5. Okay, that give you. And then I would do the same thing for the next one, which is 96 times 0.15. That give you some value, 82 times 0.2. That's give you something else, 98.10. That's give you the total, 100 times 0.05. Okay, so I would ask you to take out your calculator and you multiply and put the values in. We're going to put this in. So you should have a table on a piece of paper, okay? Do that. So now we're going to multiply. We're going to have some values. So 86 times 0.5. If it's give you a decimal, we can just round up or down. It's okay. So I will multiply. You can use your phone. You can Google the calculator. That will give you the values. Gives you 43. 96 times 0.5. Okay. Then I would do the next one. 82 times 0.2. 16.4. 9.8. Okay, let's do the last one, 100 times. So this one you don't need the calculator because 100, that's just give you 5. Okay, so to find the weighted means, what you need to do for this one to find the weighted mean is that once you multiply with the percentage, what you do is you're going to add them up. That will give you the weighted mean. How do I get the decimal for the percentage? I either take 50 divided by 100, or I can just, if I look up here, I can just move 2 places to the left. So either I can take the percentage, 50% divided by 100, that give me 0.5, or I can just take 50 and I'm just like, oh, it's 2 decimal places to the left. So I'm just move from here, 1, 2. Okay. All right, to find the weighted mean, I'm going to add these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to add all of these together. And that is the notation where we see the notation, the summation. So that would give me, if I add them up, 8, 16, 6, 22, 31. Okay, that's give me 88.6. So I add all of these, that give me 88.6. So that's the first part of the question. They ask for you the weighted mean. So what you would get from the final grade you would get for this class is 88.6. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to put in the chat. The question I'm asking is, if the minimum average for an A is 90, is this person getting an A? Yes or no? Is this person getting an A or no? He or she not get an A? Can you please put in the chat? So we calculate these, right? We got the total. This is the average means. And why not? Okay. Okay, the rest of you, I need you, like I said, I need to check in that you guys are here, type in the answers. I know some of you pay attention and you still here, but again, I just need to check in. So please just put in the chat, it's not much, okay? So it's no, right? So it's the answer is no. It's obvious because the average, the minimum is 90, right? And this person only got 88.6. So it's no, can be, right? So to do the calculation, again, I'm going to repeat the steps. Thank you for those who responded. We got the score. We multiply with the percentage that's given to you. But for the percentage, I need you to change the decimal. You either divide by 100 or you can move to the left 2 decimal place. I'm starting from the very end and move 2. Multiply them and then add the total. That will give you the weighted means. And that will tell you what grade you may get. All right? So, Any questions for me in this one? Question on the step, question on the columns, question on what I did. Because I'm going to ask you to do the next slide. You're going to practice the next slide. So can you guys please either take a picture of this problems, screenshot it, or jot it down because it will look similar to this one, but I will change the numbers around a little bit. You will need this. So please take a picture, screenshot, whatever that you have this information in front of you. We good? Should I move to the next slide? Because when I move to the next slide, you won't see this anymore. Okay. All right. So you're gonna practice this one. I still give you the values, okay? So an error, so for this one to say try yourself, an error was made in grading your final exam. Instead of getting 82, you get a score of 98. Okay, so I'm reminding you of the score, but you should have the picture, you should have all the information for the table because you want to do the same thing. I'm going to ask you to create that table. Okay, instead of getting 82 in the final exam, you get a new one, which is 98. What is your new weighted mean? The weighted mean is the summation of that. So remember, you have that table. So you want to go back, you have your score, you have your weighted, you will have the weighted times the mean, the values, and then find that total. So go back and look at the table that I provided you. I did not provide the table, but you should work on this one. So I want you to find the new weighted means. So I'm going to go, so this time I want you to go to Paired or on a piece of paper. Some of you is really good at email me your work at the end on the paper. That is fine. Do so. But I'm going to look on Paired right now. So I want you to try this. So keep in mind, these are the score. You can jot it down. You can create the table like I did. 98, right? You can do all of that. The percentage is the same as the last problem that I did. The percentage is not changing, so you can use the same percentage. So for the test is 0.5. So you should have that information. Like I said, like I asked you to record, take a picture. So you should have that and finish up. So I'm gonna check. All right, so I will go to Paired and check for your work. Look for my feedback, all right?